What's happening, world? It's your boy K Boogie. You're listening to TBT Podcast, episode 3 for the Bean. We do it for the city, we do it for the people, we do this for the love. Please, if you want to leave feedback or comments, check out our Twitter and our Instagram page, TBT_podcast, or like us on Facebook, Truth Be Told. We're going to get right into the episode. One love.
TBT, third episode. What's going on, peoples? It's Good Math here. I'm here with O.
What up?
I'm here with K Boogie.
Yep.
Just coming back, trying to get to work. Had some good responses to the first 2 podcasts, man. Really, appreciate all the support out there. People fucking with us. And we're just going to keep trying to bring you quality stuff. We're learning as we go. We're getting better. So be patient with us and contribute as much as you want on social media. Holla at us and let us know what's going right from wrong, man. So we kind of got a heavy topic today, so before we jump into that, kind of just to tie it back into our other topics, my man K Boogie, when we even brought up the new year, or things that he really appreciates, he appreciates football and football life, and we're coming off big Super Bowl weekend. K Boogie, how y'all feel about this Super Bowl 50? So it was a big Super Bowl 50.
It was big, man.
Yeah, it was big, but I didn't even get to watch half of it. Now I'm being honest with y'all. I wasn't here. I was down in Mardi Gras, New Orleans.
He was sowing his royal oats.
Oh wow! I was down in New Orleans, and I was too busy being a party boy than and worrying about the Super Bowl, especially since my team was knocked out unjustly.
What's your team again? I forget.
New England Patriots, mother. But yeah, man, no, it was cool. Like I think I saw the halftime show, which drew a lot of attention during and after, with Beyonce and Bruno Mars and Coldplay's performance.
Everyone forgets Coldplay was a headliner. Everyone seems to forget that.
You know what I liked about it was the fact that it was was in Cali, in the Bay Area,
San Francisco,
right? So
yeah.
it was like it's the biggest population for homosexuals, and that whole when the crowd lit up and said "Believe in Love," and it was all in different colors, representing the gay community. It was a big shout out to that and a big movement to that. And if you saw on Coldplay's shoulder, he had a rainbow on his white shirt, and like the message was kind of lost in the entire scope of what was really going on, because they wanted to pick apart one.
Steve Martin, by the way.
Is his name?
Yeah.
Dude from Coldplay?
Yeah.
All right, Steve Martin.
It's not the Coldplay.
The Coldplay. His name's Chris Martin, by the way. But we're going to let that slide. Mad disrespectful from me. But again, not to take away from the topic, but yeah, didn't get a chance to do that. But I did like the halftime show.
Yo, so there's a lot of drama surrounding it though, about Beyonce. As SNL hit on so perfectly the other day, the world just kind of find out Beyonce's black, and like they're panicking. They're like, "Oh shit! Wait, we thought she was ours." Like, what happened? How do y'all feel about that? Like, y'all got an issue with Beyonce being black?
Do I have an issue with Beyonce being black?
Are we supposed to have an issue with Beyonce being black? I think in front of on the Super Bowl stage.
If we have eyes that function, we should be aware that Beyonce's black. Should on a Super Bowl stage, that's her platform. And would you say that the crowd, like, they did like a sign that said love? What was it?
Believe in love.
Believe in love, and it was all different colors. So if Beyonce wants to go out there and be black and be proud of being black and stand up for that and love herself, then I don't understand how that deters from believing in love.
I think it's because of the song that she performed, which was was pretty much a stand-up song for the black community. But what's funny is when we were doing the national anthem during the Super Bowl, you had your different flags in the background, and you had the American flag, and there was also a Confederate flag in the background. But no one wants to pay attention to that.
There was.
So you have people really putting down, like she's pretty much using the biggest stage in the world to publicize this Black Lives, Black Panther movement, but yet we like to not focus on the little things that really speak louder than what actually happened. But listen,
I mean, that's not even a little thing, man. That's
it's all. Yeah.
Well, it was hidden, right?
I'm gonna bring this back to our preview episode. It's kind of like the hat that was behind Brady that supported Trump in that little interview. Like, it's small, it's in the background, but it's there. There were mad flags there. They could have hid it, tucked it away further.
You're right.
They had it where they had it for a reason. You see what I'm saying? And so if Beyonce wants to go do her thing, I'm not even the biggest fan, but I'm definitely supporting you on that one, Beyonce. You do what you gotta do. All you want to be conscious black people or want to be supporters that got an issue with Beyonce, shut the fuck up, man. Like, just sometimes if you don't got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all.
First of all, Beyonce was talking to our community, not talking to
But
white America.
The thing I just find
but they
funny,
felt threatened because it's like,
it's just interesting to me. Like, people find it offensive or almost like hateful to love the fact that you're black, like to be proud of who you are. You know, if we listen to the contents of the lyrics of the song, you know, she's talking about how, you know, she loves her man, as she describes as Negro. You know what I mean? She talks about her daughter's Afro and loving that, and loving, you know, her man and his wide nose and stuff like that. Like, it's pro-black. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing hateful about that. There's nothing negative about it. Well, and for you to draw a negative message out of it means that that's where your mind is about the definition of being black. Mm-hmm. And you're afraid of somebody taking something that you perceive negative and using it in a positive light. That's the way I see it.
And so what the issue we're jumping into today that's actually a pretty heavy issue is the idea. And excuse me, it's not an idea, it's not a concept. It exists. So when I say it, I'm talking about systematic oppression, right? And I think this ties in directly to what Kate Boogie was just speaking about. Because the idea of loving oneself when you're not white, or just let me just say when you're black, loving yourself, it seems as problematic or combative to I wouldn't even say the general majority culture, to people who actually believe in white privilege and support white privilege and are systematic racists, to be honest with you. And I think that those are the people that benefit from systematic oppression. And systematic oppression is such a huge concept. I mean, when I say systematic oppression, how do you guys feel about that? Like, what comes to mind when you hear that?
When I think of systematic oppression, I think of the systems in play that are built to keep people in certain places. So there's a lot of systems at work when you talk about systematic oppression. Oppression. We're talking about, you know, our education system. First of all, which for a lot of reasons, first of all, how segregated it is in a lot of the country, and how different the education you get based on where you live and how much money your town may have, or city may or may not have. And what we're seeing on a general scale is that lower income communities, their public schools, seem to foster children right into the prison system, which is a bigger part of this oppression system. And, you know, when we talk about private prisons and this big industry is billion-dollar industry, people are getting millions of dollars of the fact that people are being locked up for a lot of times for crimes that A, if they didn't commit, or B, are getting charged ridiculous amount of times for petty crimes,
for nonviolent
crimes. So, you know, there's a lot of systems in play. Right. We could talk about, but yeah, the system overall is, like I said, it's built to keep people in a certain place.
I also think that oppression or systematic oppression is it's a basis of many different things, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be racism, right? I think systematic oppression could occur with gender. It could occur with age. It could occur with religion. It could occur with multiple different things, and I think that when you're looking at systematic oppression, we sometimes always tie it to race because it's the biggest, or it's the most well known and most talked about. But there are other things that are systematically being in a situation of oppression. So
yeah, well,
definitely multiple.
With the examples I just brought, they involved income. They didn't involve race. When we talk about education, we talk about prison, but race plays a factor in everything also. Right. So like we're probably gonna talk about race a lot because we're three black guys in the room, and that tends to be where the conversation may go.
Yeah, I mean, and this is true, and there are multitudes of groups that are affected by systematic oppression, and I know the point in bringing it up is that all these systems add up to the same result. They're all parts of one equation that add up to the same result, which is to support white privilege, and that's what it is. These superior white people that just run shit. It's to support them, and there are your wealthy.
So we're talking about the 1% here.
We're talking about the 1%. We're talking about at the end of the day, what is the sum of all these systems? What are they at? These parts of the system. What is the system in general? What is its purpose, and who does it benefit? I want to kind of jump back because we kind of got away from what you were talking about. But the train from public school systems and impoverished communities, which most times do consist of people of color. The train from those public school systems to jail is real as fuck. It's super real. Like BPS, Boston Public School System. Come on, it's super real, and across the fucking the nation, the country. I'm sure it's going on because I know it exists here. So we went to the same high school. And that high school was in a suburban area, and before that I went to a charter school. But public school systems, I've been there since younger, and fortunately enough, I had a team of mentors and family that just wouldn't have allowed me to fall through those cracks. But it is very real. Shout out to Youth Against Mass Incarceration. They have a PSA called Get Hip. Go, you look that up on YouTube. They show you that path, man. And those are dudes from Boston, a group, of young women and males from Boston, and that hip you to some stuff if you don't know, man. So shout out to them.
Shout out to them, man. Very good video they had too.
So I think that's a good point. I think even in how do you feel? Oh, we all went to the same college. We all went to UMass Lowell. Do you think that there were even forms of? Before I even jump into that, let's consider the fact that Black History Month is in February, shortest month of the year, right? And we always talk about that, and that's obvious. Everybody knows that. There's also a week of school vacation in February, so it's already the shortest month of the year, and there's a week of vacation, which is like right now. It started today. And this is the month in which we're going to teach you guys about supposedly your culture, where you come from, and not just teach you about the fact that a lot of fucked up racist shit used to happen to you guys, but you overcame. So good for you.
I'd even think of it that way now that you brought that to light. Shit, I wish I was back in grade school so I could say something. But with that, I think oppression, like I said, has layers, right?
Right.
But when you're looking at, you want to talk about the 1%, I think it's wealth-based, and I think there's a huge wealth gap in education. It's wealth and education, and those are the two keys that keep you oppressed.
The correlation you just made between wealth and education being two of the very powerful tools used to oppress people is real as fuck, because the only way you can amass wealth without an education, I don't know if there is one. You have to be good or intelligent. Even if you're a street nigga and you on the streets and you're doing this and that, there's still some common, what they call it, street smarts. There's still something. You're still, you got some type of education.
Education isn't everything. Let's not confuse. There is an education system that we go and get a diploma from, and it tells us we went to. But education isn't just going to school. Education is the everyday process of what you teach yourself and what you learn and what you experience in life. Correct. So, yes, you need to be educated to be successul, but you don't necessarily need to have a degree to be successful. You know what I mean? But to bring it back to O's point, we are trying to paint a picture here of the fact that this gap is incurred by wealth. The powers to be, the corporate heads and the people who are behind big businesses and big corporations, they're the ones who have the money and the power to determine what occurs in our day-to-day life. They fund the media, they fund the politicians, they fund the prison systems, and they get paid off for all these things.
They fund our football team.
They fund they fund our entertainment. Everything.
Are you coming at the football thing again?
No.
This is like an underlying theme.
But the fact of the matter is that's who's always going to benefit. The people who are in power.
All right, so do you think? All right, there is this 1%, which is like, listen, guys, we're not talking about no Illuminati shit. That could be a different episode. What we're addressing is a statistic. There is 1% of people that have more wealth than
99%.
Right, than 98%. Than the overwhelming majority of the population. And the rest of that population is white and black. Now, with that being said, if these rules are implemented in order to keep oppression going, what's the means to end? So these people, this 1% wants to keep their power. but they also can't just keep their power without letting other people function. So then, in my opinion, and I don't know if you guys would agree, that's why some people are allowed to still kind of have some success and be kind of content and happy in their lives, while others are more easily held down and is accepted by society. You know what I mean? I mean, it is easier to hold down a race of people that everybody's already told to fear by the media, which you just said that's 1% controls. Who's told, that the police are even told that they have to watch these people closely because that's what they're told by the state and the judicial system. And if you can hold these people down and nobody really counts them or values them as much as they do themselves or should themselves, being black people, then who's benefiting in the middle? I mean, and I know that's a difficult question. There's a lot there. So I guess what I'm saying is,
you kind of gauge that question to have her say a certain thing, I feel like.
Well, I feel like there's multiple people who benefit in the middle, whether it has to do with race or creed or sex. There's multiple people who benefit in the middle of that.
I think it's those who are sound in mind and body who benefit from that. And the reason why I say that I've seen people who look like me who don't have it all together. I've seen people who look like me who have more together than most people will think. And you might not know it based on their appearance. But if you're sound in mind and body, and I honestly believe this, you will not let oppression, or you will not let an oppressor oppress you because you have the knowledge to not be in that situation. Now, systematic sometimes is like you get caught up in it and it's like one of those reactive things. But I think the ones who benefit, or the middle guy, is the one who knows what it's like and the one who knows how to get out or knows how to avoid. So it's sound in mind and body.
So it seems to me you're saying have the presence of mind.
When you say you mean
Oh yeah, well, in retort to what I was just saying, it seems like you're saying you have the presence of mind not to fall for the traps that are clearly there, and still have the wits to keep your head low enough to not get clipped off by what's happening above you. So you kind of just keep your head low and fly through the middle. And is that the best way to combat oppression?
You're talking about middle, right? That's what I'm saying.
In my opinion, I don't know if that's the best way to combat oppression, because that seems like you're enlightened enough to be submissive and stay out of the way of nonsense. And that's not no slight at you or anyone else. This is just facts. Ladies and gentlemen, the thing we're talking about, this subject, is so hard to even deal with because you can't just put one name to it. There's so many layers, like Owa has already said. And it's daunting. It's daunting how difficult this becomes, and how we function in school or in employment or with our family and our communities. A lot of it is dictated on how we're reacting to something that's already in place on us, systems that are already placed on us that don't. And when I say us, I mean the three young men in this room, the three black men. It's difficult, more so than for other people, to function in this country, if not the world, with these oppressive systems that weigh down on us more than others. I feel like, I mean, if you guys think this country is built and giving everybody a fair chance, please, you speak up and let me know now.
I think across the world, there's always a minority who tends to live off worse, and even if it's not a minority, the fact of the matter is, so there's a photo that I'll probably end up posting to our blog or somewhere like that, or maybe to Instagram, and it's a picture of Andre 3000 performing, and he has on a suit, and on the front is a quote, and it says, "Across the world, darker people suffer most. Why?" And it's a real question to ponder, because the fact of the matter is, no matter where you go in the world, it tends to be people of darker skin tend to be the oppressed. If you live in, Hispaniola, which is Haiti, Dominican Republic, if you live there and you're darker skinned, even if you are Dominican descent, they're gonna treat you worse than you would if you were fairer skinned. If you live in Asia, people, for example, in Thailand, in Vietnam, and other places like that, in Eastern Asia, but the people indigenous to those places are dark skinned people. You know what I'm saying? And those people who are living there, who are still of that darker hue, who didn't lighten up, they are treated worse. They're treated like most of them are indentured servants and things of that nature, and that happens across the world. So it's not just here. You know what I mean? And here it's not just black people either. You know what I mean? Like Muslim, woman, gay, everybody gets oppressed. You know what I'm saying? The idea is that oppression is mental. So the movement to move out of it is to be able to take your mind from that place of oppression where they're trying to trap your mind into, and be able to get to a space where you can be mentally liberated so that you can be successful in your own right.
I'm thinking back at my upbringing, and I know that this is very this is a root or a basis of the black community, and even my own house. Religion plays a huge factor in the black community, right? And I think that sometimes I've seen it happen in my old church. You know, the person who's preaching to you, you want them to have good intent because they're in the house of the Lord, right? They're somewhere where you pretty much put everything that you want to use as science, and you just go in full faith. And I think our community that's the basis of how we were brought up. So if someone decides faith-based. So if someone decides to pump your head with nonsense, so you've seen those cash cow priests who just will tell you something just to get more money.
Yeah, they're gonna sell you a prayer cloth.
Exactly,
and you buy it. A monthly subscription to make sure it still works.
But because our underlining upbringing is faith-based, do you think it's easier to oppress a black community who believe in faith and rather than taking action on something? Do you think it's like something where it's
I definitely think, and I know K Boogie's gonna want to jump in on this, especially coming probably out of the three of us for the most religious background. I mean, I definitely think religion has been used to oppress people for millennia, like forever.
All types of people.
Forever, religion has been used to oppress people. I think there's definitely people within black communities that can exploit that fact, and that's in how much you give to your donations every week to make sure that God still likes you. And
bro, I've seen ATMs in church.
And you know, but I mean, one of the most disgusting things I don't like is I don't like the people's faces at churches when people pass away. When someone dies, even for Herman's funeral, those dudes were wearing, you know, their Sunday best with their Burberry ties and then nice clips on them. Then we're kind of just like smiling and gesturing to each other like it's another day, and someone we know is dead, and we're carrying them out, and it's like they don't really give a fuck. They're getting a check. That's a job, and I understand that it's a job, and I'm kind of going off on a tangent here. I definitely think that there's a point to saying how accountable are black people for contributing to their own oppression. Or oppressing their own people. But I know K Boogie wants to jump into this, and I got a question myself. So you go ahead.
You touched on a point I was going to say. Like religion is used as a tool of oppression across the world. And when Spain went to go and conquer other lands, the first thing they brought was Catholicism with them, because they knew that if they can get people to believe in the system that they believe in, and believe that you gotta believe in our God and be quote unquote civilized like us, and if not, then you're gonna go to hell. Then you kind of get people to behave accordingly in a certain way, and it's just easier to control people that way. So yeah, it's a system of control, just like anything else, and you can use it for good or evil. And people use religion in different ways, but it's definitely a tool of oppression if you want to use it in that context.
But then going back to what I'm saying, though, do you think that because we're rooted off of religion, our community, black community, is definitely rooted off of religion?
It makes us vulnerable.
Not only does it make us vulnerable, but do you believe that because of this root, it allows us to believe more in faith than challenging the system?
Oh, see, and that's the other thing I have a problem with. That's the issue I have with the quote-unquote church, is that we're so quick to forgive everything. The idea is like, the church has been a battleground for a long time. And when I say that, I mean literally. Like, they have come into churches and murdered us. Blown up churches, killed people in churches, burnt crosses outside of churches, threatened us at churches.
You're talking about white America?
Yes.
Okay.
And when I say us, I'm talking about black people of color.
Okay.
And the idea is, we're supposed to be the good Christian way is to forgive your enemy, turn your other cheek. the fact of the matter is, we're never going to get respect from somebody that we allow to keep disrespecting us.
Bro, I only have two cheeks.
And I have been a proponent, and I don't even want to talk to my crazy shit because I'm gonna start going. But the fact is, why don't we have, you know what I'm saying, armed security at churches? Why wouldn't you? If you know it's a battleground, if you know people go there to harm other people, you know it's a place where people go and they find it as a sanctuary. But are you really safe?
But that brings it right back to what I'm saying. You know, we rely so much on faith, and we believe that if you're doing good things should be coming around you. Good things should be there. And so, yeah, you have faith in just going into a place where you're supposed to be sacred and supposed to be, you know, it's supposed to be untouchable until you're touched.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh man, there's a underlining rule.
Let's get together.
Not getting into you're not supposed to go shooting at churches. That's like a underlining rule. But again,
and the media says they're so sad and this is tragic, and then that's it. And then you guys are just okay with that. Like, no, man, we can't be okay with people killing us. It can't be okay, man. And that's the issue I have. That's why I don't see eye to eyes a lot of times with I'm a very spiritual person, and I wouldn't call myself religious at all, because I'm not with the traditional stuff. I'm not with the idea of, you know, allowing people to talk to you and treat you however you want. I believe we're all human beings, and we need to respect each other as human beings. And if you're not getting respect as a human being, you need to demand your respect. And you don't get that by saying I'm sorry, or by saying, you know, it's okay.
Well, saying it's okay is more or less the same thing as I'm sorry. We shouldn't have been at church that day. That dude shouldn't have been walking the train. You know what I'm saying? Like, niggas shouldn't have been walking down the street that day. And that's the same thing. And really, I mean, if we want to talk about what culture we're rooted in a culture of being stolen from a land. Whether or not, because, you know, I know there'd be whiteys out there, proprietors that'd be like, well, some Africans sold Africans. I don't give a You're right. I don't give a fuck. They're still stolen people, and then we come here and we're slaves, we're property, not even humans, and we have to be baptized. You have to be. You had to be Christian, right?
Listen, I'm from Haiti, man. So I was chilling on an island drinking.
You weren't chilling, bro. Y'all had slavery too, just like everyone else.
Coconut water, drinking, pate, eating. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm fucking with y'all, but yeah, you know, I'm with you.
If that's where it stems from, if our faith in religion, in the Christian God, comes from being forced to give up our ancestors in order to follow this Christian God, is that not a mental capacity of oppression that still goes back?
Yeah,
for generations.
Look at this white man; he's gonna save you.
Right, like, but if you, and I'll beat you if you don't believe that. Like,
but
that just. It ties in, and so one of my main questions is, you know, being black in the bottom of the barrel, right? And when I say bottom of the barrel, I don't necessarily look at myself as being the bottom of the barrel. I don't look at any one of you guys like being the bottom of the barrel. We are fucking kings, in my opinion. The world looks at us as being the bottom of the barrel. Something happened to one of us today. The universe a cop did something. They would have to go research the story afterwards, because at first it's just going to seem like another black person was killed by a cop, and you never know what the fuck went down. They would have to go research people's stories to give you enough credit that shouldn't have happened to you. So being back and at the bottom of the barrel, does that push us to simulate or fall into these stigmas that are already attached to us? I.e., that we need to go to school and get a degree, that we need to go to church and listen to God, that we need to go work for this corporation.
Well,
and excuse me, and these are all things that are attached to oppressive society. So if we're contributing to them and participating in them, are we also contributing to our own oppression?
Well, you asked a lot of questions there, but I'm gonna start from the jump. So first of all, I got an issue with the bottom of the barrel thing.
That's your pride, though. You'll be like.
So the idea is like, even in America, even being black in America, I don't think we're at the bottom of the barrel. I feel like people with mental illness are treated worse than us. I feel like people with, I don't know, like there's a lot of people who I feel like get equal, if not worse, treatment than
Well, I completely disagree with that.
Then who? Black?
Than black Americans. I feel like we have I feel like people come here from other countries and
none of them like black people.
I understand, but they don't gotta like us. They come here with their people, and they are able to create a life for themselves that is, you know, beneficial. They're able to put their kids in school. They come here with nothing, and they're able to make things happen. I feel like we take a lot of things for granted, and we allow ourselves to be exploited because we're waiting for a handout. And I don't think that we're at the bottom of the barrel necessarily. I think the issue is that we haven't come together as a community and been able to
So once
move
again,
ourselves out of the place that we are.
Let me clarify this, because I said it, and I don't know if you heard me or if it was winning out because you were just shaking your head while I was talking because you was already mad about it.
Yeah, I didn't like how it sounded.
Right. I know that black people aren't the bottom of the barrel. I know the strength and the capacity to get shit done that black people have. The world allows black people to be perceived a certain way. The world has that agenda. The oppressive society, the world society that we function in, which the United States is a part of, allows that to happen. Any other group that comes here, they all have issues with black people. Asians, Latinos, all of them. They all have issues with black people as a culture. Maybe not individually that they have issues, but as a culture, everybody kind of looks like black people are heathens, or we're the bottom of the caste system, for one to say. That is the way it's look. I know that isn't the truth, but you kind of have to like earn that. You have to, and everybody has to earn that. But everybody isn't the same. Stigmas aren't attached to everybody else.
I will challenge you on that, and the reason why I say that is because I've traveled and I've been to different countries, and I think I've received the same type of love as I would receive.
And that's you as an individual. Look at when we brought this up briefly. Look at what happened in France. Look at the response to that. While thousands of people were being slaughtered in Africa. Why is that?
So then we're talking about a different thing here, because I think when you're looking at oppression and why we're being oppressed, it's who's holding the mass media and who's writing the books. If we start to, and I say we, the black community, start to write our own books and start to host our own media and actually get attention to it and actually put all of our energy to it, then we could have our own type of control, and we can then move away from being oppressed.
To me, that sounds like the age-old lie that you have to change things from within. I mean, if we're talking about combating something, and I think I know the question was very complex, a multi-pronged question, and it might not have been clear and concise, but it isn't so much about oppression. It's about how we allow stigmas that are already attached to us to stop us from defeating oppression or to combat it. And it stems from what you were saying. Do you think this kind of submissive culture could come from being in church and waiting on fate? And that goes back to what K Boogie was saying. Do you I think that black people need to stand up and stop looking for handouts and kind of just bust your ass and grind. If you have this negative stigmas attached to you that you're going to be stupid, that you come from nothing, that you should be a gangster, you should be this. If you have those stigmas attached to you, then how is it easy to rise out of oppression or to combat oppression? And even if you do, once you get into this college education, right? I'm in college and I'm participating. I'm now paying money that contributes directly to the same system that in practice is holding me down.
But then, this goes all the way back to when I said earlier, being sound in mind and body. Right, so having the knowledge or understanding yourself, understanding your capability, understanding your ability. I think when you're talking about thinking that you're not better than others,
being submissive
to these different types of things, I think that comes into you not believing in yourself. And yes, it could be hammered into you over time, but
I mean, is it really a question that's hammered into you? I mean, how did you get to this body and mind state where you knew you seen what was wrong with the world, but you didn't let it just weigh down on you enough that it could stop you? How did you get to that place in your life?
I didn't allow all the hate that came through my life consume me. I took every lesson, and I veer off the path because I'm human, but I have a strong role model system, as we talked about in our last podcast. I'm a sponge still to this day for education, and whether that's in books or observing in life. And I think being older now, through the experiences that I've had in life, now I feel that I'm more in tune with myself, because I'm not looking to be someone else. I'm looking to be who I feel comfortable being of myself. So that's where I become sound in mind and body, and that's why I'm able to achieve what I'm doing right now for a career, or be able to do what I have or have what I have in my life, and that's because I feel like I am sound in mind. I might not be. I'm 27. I might look back at 47.
Like, I didn't know what the fuck I was
Exactly. I might be 47 and be like, who the fuck is that guy? Who the hell do you think he is?
And I mean, I mean, you know, I fuck with you 100%, and so that is a place where you're at this middle ground you described, knowing that there is a glass ceiling, and before you even get to that glass ceiling, there might be a fucking hacksaw swinging back and forth like it's an Indiana Jones movie, and there is this. I love black people, but there is this bottom where where society would tell you, yeah, it's all right to be there. It's all right to take these handouts. It's all right if you need help. And in some cases, people do need help, and they raise out of that. You seem to like be in this middle, and it's. I guess the question I'm asking you is it okay to be content in the middle, or are we also contributing to oppression by just kind of avoiding the bullshit?
I like how you bring that up. Good math, and I will say this. The reason why I feel that I'm in the middle, and look at oppression as a maze, right? I already started in this maze.
Without having a choice.
Without having a choice,
Yep.
But I always challenge the roadblock.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, or people who let oppression take over, will stay at the roadblock and say, you know what, this part of my life...
Or try to go around it.
Or go around it. They try to go around it, but then they end up in a locked spot. Think of it like a rat race, right? Like Bob Marley would say. You try and you end up in the wrong turn because you're trying to avoid the challenge in front of you. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you embrace the challenge, learn from it, get over the hump, and keep it moving. And the reason why I feel that I might be in the middle of where I am and content as of right now is because I'm learning to unlock the key to the next challenge. It's not that I'm waiting and this is where I am. I'm always challenging to be better. I'm always looking to increase my abilities in whatever I do. But I also am smart enough to say, don't rush everything all at once. Understand, learn how to overcome, and then go through it.
And that's how you combat.
That's
oppression.
how I combat, yeah.
I mean, I guess stemming from that, you know, the maze analogy is dope. The fact that people of color have to start in this maze, because I feel like life is a maze in general, but I feel like I know I got plenty of white friends, whatever. I got plenty of friends who aren't white who just have more money than me, and it's kind of like the path is straightforward, set out in front of you. Not that you follow it or necessarily always happens, but it's kind of like, all you gotta do is go to school, pay attention, do your thing, you have a car at this age, you're gonna go to this school, then you're gonna get a job, and you're gonna be good, and eventually you get married, settle down, and we start it over. We got you, you got us, we keep this legacy going. That is one thing, and I forget, I actually think Tariq said this, the dude did Hidden Colors, that, privileged people look out for themselves. They make sure they hold it down, and I see that here with K Boogie building a future and a stable environment for Kai, like, and that's what you want to do. You want to be able to help your children and guide them through this oppressive maze that we didn't even fucking sign up for in the first place. So I mean, I definitely I hear where you're coming from. I just think it's a really complicated thing, and I mean, I don't know if I signed a contract saying I wanted to deal with this shit, you know what I mean?
But the way I see it too, man, we're going through this maze. I appreciate every challenge that I've gone through. I would not have wanted a fast ticket to pick myself to get through this maze, right? Like, I look back and I'm like, okay, yeah, that shit was fucked up. I get it, but motherfucker, I went through it. You can't tell me nothing.
And it's so dope because this ties into what Good Math said the last episode. I was privileged to be born poor. Like, and I agree, like, that's so true. Like, the idea that, you didn't have everything handed to you. You have an appreciation for how you accumulated it, and then you could tell someone else how to do it who's in your same position. Mm-hmm. If you get everything in life handed to you, what can you teach me?
You can teach someone how to get everything handed to them.
No, you can't, because that is given to you.
Teach them how that's well, yeah, but then I guess in that theory, and I'm looking at it from a 1% living in the Hamptons and downtown Manhattan point of view, and I can't really play that. I guess I'm doing the devil's advocate thing, but I can teach you that, we have all this money, and as long as you play by the rules, you're going to have all this money, and the people who come after you are going to have all this money.
But you can't teach me to be born in your family. You know what I mean? Well, you can't teach that. That's something that's given to you. I'm talking about learning, experiencing things, growing through, and learning the process of elevating yourself. You don't teach some of that to someone else.
And sometimes when I say shit, when people say shit, sometimes I think sometimes you particularly, K Boogie, misconstrue something. Like, it isn't about being taught to be born in a family. It's about being taught how to behave once you're a part of this family. And I think as opposed to coming up hard are underprivileged, you have to learn how to do these other things. And I understand that's where the blessing comes from and the strength. Now, is it easy for me to say, well, if I was fucking rich, who the fuck knows what would be going on, black, white, or purple? If I was just fucking super rich, who knows what I would give a fuck about? And so we'll bring that back full circle to tell you once again, shout out to Beyonce on her halftime performance. I appreciated it. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna tie that back in, man. But I mean, I don't know. Like, how do you guys feel? Because there are a lot of stigmas, and we are involved in this social contract that it's binding, but you never signed up for it.
See, it's true. You know what I mean? We didn't sign up for this, and it's funny how different people react to being in that position. So like O said, there are situations where people are in the middle of this maze, right? Or, you know, in between the lines that we talked about earlier. Like, if you're in that position, you can A, be looking for ways to progress yourself, or B, be like, hey, it's safe here. You know, like, everyone get down. Like, before Master finds out that we're good. You know? Like, that's why I feel like it's at being at work. That's why I feel the corporate world, that happens to black men in the corporate world. Like, when I have to talk to somebody on a professional level, I feel like when I'm dealing with a black man, I feel like I'm dealing with one or two types of people. Most of the people I'm dealing with are those, you know, running from slave masters. Like, oh, let's not make too much of a ruckus, because Master's gonna get, you know, he's gonna get real mad if we gonna say something that he don't like. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't like the idea of, yes, people. I've seen people in situations where they'll allow someone to speak to them any type of way just because they want to keep their job.
They're from promoting oppression.
Like, that is promoting oppression.
Yeah.
The idea that you feel like you owe this man something because he's employing you, no, he's paying you to fulfill a job. You need to do your doing. Yes, you're capable of doing. You don't owe that man a thing. You have to go show up every day and do your work, but there's nothing else that you owe this person. That you don't need to make this person comfortable. You need to be able to provide the service that you're being paid for. So the idea that, like, I don't know, I feel like I deal with that every day, and it's very frustrating to me to deal with these people who want to tell you, like, oh, well, how you should perceive yourself, or how you should be perceived. Like, you can perceive me however you want to perceive me, man. I'm here to work. You know what I mean? I'm going to be myself.
You know what's funny is, so I work in a corporate environment now. Straight out of college, I was a sales guy, and if anyone knows anything about a sales guy, you're treated like the bottom of the barrel regardless of what color you are, right? You walk in, or you give somebody a call unsolicited.
Yeah.
You're
salesman oppression.
You will get the business, right? And not the business as in you're going to make money. You're going to get the business as in they will treat you as unfairly as possible. So I never knew whether or not it was because I was black or because I was a salesman.
Yeah,
so
might be worse.
or black salesman.
Right.
So I kind of just took it as I was a salesman. But now in a different role in my life, in a different role in my career, no longer in sales, the respect is on the same level as anybody else, and now I appreciate the grunt that I went through again, going through that maze. I appreciated that, to know that it's my abilities that is bringing me to where I am today, and they're not looking at me, they're not talking to me, they're not talking down to me. They, as anybody I work with, which is, you know, majority white or Middle Eastern descent, they don't look down at me. They don't talk down at me. And actually, when I talk to, I have one colleague that is African American, and he's out in the Midwest. So we have these video chats, and when we talk, he's very formal. Hey, sir. Hey, this. Hey, that. And I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, come on, just break it down. Just be like, yo, what up, G? Like, I wanna, you know. But like, I then remember, you know, we're in an environment where, whatever, I guess this is professional, regardless if it's white, black, whatever. But every time I see someone of color, I'm always like, I wonder if I could kick it.
That secret bro chat.
It's real, because that happens every day. You'll see somebody, and like, you're in a mostly white area. Say you even at school, you know, you don't gotta be work. Like, you could see another black guy in the hallway, and you give him the head nod, like, yo, You know, and if you get your knock back, then like,
That's a wrap.
boom, everything's peace. But if you don't get your knock back, like, yo, what's up with this?
Well, yeah, why is he acting up, bro? Why you think he's better than me?
He's one of them.
See that's real. That's real.
This is one of our heavier topics, and we always like to kind of tie shit back in. I got a lot from K Boogie. I got a lot from I got a lot from myself. Good math. I think at the end of the day, oppression is over the fucking top complicated. And the maze analogy was right on point, man. You could either see a roadblock in front of you and figure out how to get past it, or you can kind of just sit there and be complacent and just let the pressure fall down on you, man. And everybody has their ways of fighting things. There's a wise saying to choose your battles, and oppression is definitely one of those forums where you gotta choose your battles carefully, because that's life or death type shit, man. We're fucking with people's money and way of life. With that being said, you do have to combat oppression, man, at any opportunity that you can. Do it to the best of your ability, and always have faith in yourself, whether black, white, or whatever, man. And shout out to all the sisters and the women, because we know you guys are being extremely oppressed too, man. And we can't just speak too directly for you guys, because we're you women, because we're all guys. But definitely shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to Beyonce again, man. Good performance. Do another one next year.
There you go. All right, man. Peace. Bless.
We out.